Olá e bem-vindos ao canal. Vamos continuar então com o Lone Echo e vamos ver o que é que acontece hoje.
Ok. Que mais é que é para aqui que eu posso explorar? Ok, isto parece que tem uma porta. Mas eu não quero ir para ali. Vou ver se não vou para ali. Espera aí.
Good find, Jack. There's a significant quantity of data here, and I believe much of it can be used in our effort to develop a cure. Let's see. Moderate store of data, but much of it could prove useful in developing a cure. Good find, Jack.
Ok. Vamos lá ver. O que é que eu encontro para aqui? Interessante. Será que o dinheiro foi ali? Ok. Esta já foi. Não? Ok. Vamos lá ver. Aquilo é aquela porta. Vamos passar por aqui e ver se a gente consegue chegar ali àquela zona. Pode ser que tenha alguma coisa. É a zona que era a zona que eu estava. Portanto, não. Tem que ir ali. Será que eu consigo ir por fora? Espero que sim. O que é aquilo?
Juno, is this a communication device?
Close. It's a long-range sensor suite, an integral part of the station's early warning and collision prevention system. By coordinating data with a small deployment of tug drones and patrol craft, the system ensures that any debris on a collision course with the station is appropriately diverted.
Ok, agora vamos carregar.
Wish we had that when the Estrella first arrived back home.
It would have made little difference. Just half of the Estrella arriving here far exceeded the system's capacity.
Fair enough. Though, wait, does that mean those drones and whatnot were the ships Jack and I saw out the window when we first jumped in?
Correct, Captain. Shortly after the Estrella's arrival, the automated fleet reacted. I assumed control of one of the drones to make contact. Dr. Harlan made checking for potential survivors a priority.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Both of you.
It was simply the right thing to do.
You are approaching the biomass research facility. This is where the outbreak originated.
We're sure there's some contained biomass on hand for Jack to retrieve.
Logs indicate 1 or 2 containers should still be in storage. However, reaching them may be difficult due to the entire facility being under lockdown.
The tram entrance will undoubtedly be your only way in.
Acknowledged.
Já podia ser dito isso, que eu tinha escusado ter andado a dar aqui umas voltas.
The facility appears to be in fairly poor condition, but there is at least some power flowing.
Due to the generator being restored.
Unfortunately, I'm still unable to access any systems further into the facility. Power flow stops at the entry terminal. It appears that the systems are outright disconnected, including the physical entry bridge. Jack, you'll need to reconnect those systems to gain entry to the facility.
Copy that.
Ok.
There's a room jutting into this cave. Could it be part of the biomass containment area?
Negative. The room you're seeing is part of the facility's integrity monitoring system, responsible for tracking any changes in the asteroid structure during excavation. For safety reasons, biomass containment is located much deeper in the facility.
Ok, então vamos lá ver.
Somewhat odd to leave this case empty.
It's fairly straightforward. Our work was never finished.
A scale model of the FTL drive on Dr. Harlan's ship. Was the drive developed here?
Not exactly. While the few FTL drives still in service were refitted here, the original design was actually reverse engineered from the FTL drives left behind aboard the Estrella. That was done by your former employer, in fact.
Wait, Atlas built them?
Indeed. Before the company dissolved, of course.
Effectively, 22nd century Atlas reverse engineered their own 26th century technology.
Huh. That sounds perfectly normal and not at all confusing.
I would expect nothing less from our employer, past, present, or otherwise.
Estranho aquilo.
This device looks vaguely similar to the cranes we saw in the transit hub.
Good eye, Jack. That's because it's an early version of the stasis field technology used by those cranes, as well as our cargo drones and many other systems. As you can imagine, the ability to manipulate objects without direct contact has significant advantages when dealing with the biomass.
Yes, advantages we continue to witness firsthand through Jack's grip projector.
Agreed. This appears to be some sort of focusing device. I haven't seen anything like it elsewhere on Chiron Station.
It's actually a prototype of the technology our containment units use to keep digs pacified.
As in the technology that shorted out while Jack and I were trapped in the engineering bay.
Yes, though that was due to the power cycling abnormally. I assure you, it's usually quite stable.
Yeah, one would hope.
Sequence for preserves very little. Okay.
It seems someone was emphatic about maintaining the lockdown.
That console would have controlled the bridge leading into the main facility.
I assumed.
I'm not seeing any backup controls in the blueprints, unfortunately. It's possible the cave contains systems not listed in the schematics. It may be worth a quick investigation.
I believe this is a manual activation switch.
It should restore power to the immediate area, as well as the rest of the research facility. Just keep in mind that you'll also be awakening any dormant biomass within.
This bridge is currently disconnected. As part of the lockdown procedures.
Correct. The doors won't open until both sides of the bridge are fully extended.
Did they get everyone out?
According to these logs...
No. Not everyone got out.
Ok. Isso não é bom sinal. Barulho é este. O que é que eu acho que me vou arrepender?
These are auxiliary controls for the extension bridges.
Correct, but they're currently inoperable. The power conduit extending from the entrance to the main facility has been retracted, likely an attempt to contain the biomass spread. To restore power to the extension mechanisms, you will need to re-engage the power conduit to cross the gap.
Understood. I will locate and re-engage the conduit. Perhaps that switch...
Re-establishing main generator connection. Be advised, Class 3 power fields will become active. Dormancy will be nullified.
Hey, Jack. I know you've got this, as always, but... by restoring power, we're undoing something that was put in place as a die-hard safety precaution.
We're certain this is the only place we're going to find the contained biomass?
Assuming these fragmented station logs are correct? Yes.
Well, that's reassuring.
Ok. Tá ligado.
Finalizing connection.
Connection established. Now receiving power readings throughout the facility. Jack, once you have the bridge fully extended, you should be able to access the facility proper. Though I suspect some areas may have additional security requirements.
Nora, the research director, would have done everything she could to contain the outbreak. But there is no containing it. This was an eventuality.
It's fortunate that your disagreement over priorities led you to be elsewhere when the outbreak occurred.
It's only fortunate if I'm right.
Dr. Harlan, if these power readings are accurate, our suspicions appear confirmed.
What's that now? What suspicions?
Educated guess, rather.
Which is different.
The ticks aren't the only form of biomass that have been evolving since your time.
Ok.
So, what's this one do? Open doors?
Quite the opposite, in fact.
It's best if you see for yourselves.
It's best if you see for yourself.
I'm crossing into the main facility now.
Copy that, Jack.
Jesus. Claro.
Biomass has taken hold here.
Given that it got this far, the rest of the facility will likely be much worse.
Will the fabricator still be operational?
Yes, at least enough that Jack should be able to reboot without issue.
Ok.
In the security control room, I found a casualty.
According to logs, Adler Reyes.
He must have been trying to keep the scanners running to prevent the biomass from leaving the facility.
But if someone failed the scan...
They would have had to remain behind. Unfortunately, even the scanning room itself became contaminated.
You think that's how it spread to the rest of the station?
Most likely. With background contamination, the system would have had a difficult time producing accurate results. Inevitably, it failed.
Main lobby. Ok, acho que eventualmente vamos encontrar outra forma evoluída.
Jack, you are now entering the facility's lobby. Biomass containment is located through the leftmost door.
To the left. A sério.
I found another casualty of the biomass. In the lobby.
Dr. Brianna Leamington.
She was one of our pathologists.
Electrical systems here are clearly suffering from extreme damage. The lobby's directory is effectively useless.
Good thing we've got someone who knows their way around.
Always happy to be of assistance, Captain.
I was actually talking about Dr. Harlan. But thanks.
Ok.
This must be the evolved biomass form Dr. Harlan mentioned. It detects my presence, much like the other specimens encountered thus far.
We classify it as a reticulated B biomass organism, but most people just call them webs.
Aside from their namesake membrane, webs can also be recognized by an additional nodule. It should be quite distinct.
Ok. Não tão
Oh,
grave
and
como
Jack,
estava
that distinct
à
nodule I
espera.
mentioned, think of it as a sensor. If it detects you, it will stimulate the web's expansion reflex. Just something to keep in mind as you explore the station.
Claro que sim. E aqui está outro.
Another one of the web forms. I still have no way to bypass.
Then try the labs. The research they were doing there might prove useful.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Ok, vamos lá então.
There's some kind of added security here.
Dr. Everett Harlan reporting. Authorized laboratory access.
Voice-activated authorization. That's a smart security feature.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Está desativado. Isto é esquisito. Ok, bom.
What sort of research were they doing here?
The director was convinced the cure was impractical. So she poured everything into containment technology.
Did she have any luck?
When I left, she had everyone working on miniaturizing the insulation cloaking from our containment unit. I'm not sure how far they got.
Biological specimens.
The director was always in here. Dissecting, testing. She was tireless.
She must have had a cast iron stomach.
One of the toughest people I have ever known.
Ok.
This transparent aluminum is reinforced.
Unfortunately, that's still not enough to withstand concerted biomass growth.
Que susto.
This web is preventing me from further exploring the labs. Perhaps there's something in this lab that could help. Is this some type of emitter?
It looks to be a functional prototype. I knew she... They were close, but I didn't know they had moved into practical testing. The basic concept was to surround the biomass with a cloak of electromagnetic insulation, preventing energy from reaching it.
Kind of like using a blanket to smother a flame.
Indeed. The idea was to build these cloak emitters as a reactive defense against the biomass. To contain it.
That could have a wide array of tactical applications.
Just all at best, not a solution. I wish she could have seen that.
These controls are running some sort of automated procedure.
The system is no longer reachable over the network. Cut off by the biomass, no doubt. It must be an old test, abandoned during the outbreak and resumed now that we've restored power.
Vamos ver o que há mais por aqui.
I assume these microscopes were used to observe the biomass.
I believe so, yes.
Development of the biomass containment technology required research at the macro, micro, and even nanoscopic scales.
With these microscopes, the researchers would have been able to observe the effect of their containment technology in real time. With a more manageable sample size, of course.
It must have been a heavy responsibility to work so closely with live biomass samples.
It was not without its risks.
So, would you say it was more or less risky than intentionally infecting your own FTL drive?
If you have any less precarious solutions, Captain, I'm all yes.
The glass is broken. I'm afraid your former workplace has seen better days, Doctor.
External spread is what breached the chamber.
It appears the entire facility became one contiguous test chamber.
And that too was breached.
Is this a control interface?
That's right, for the robotic arm in the adjoining chamber. Use the holographic controls to adjust each part of the articulation.
I wonder if they moved this prototype into production.
Even if they did, it clearly wasn't enough to stop an outbreak. This is why we need a cure.
Mais um bocadinho.
Biomass at the exit neutralized.
It's possible I failed to foresee some of the cloak emitter's eventual implications.
Sounds like your research director was on the right track.
Nora. She never gave up. I could hardly ever pull her away from her work.
Dr. Harlan, if I may interject, the local data I'm seeing implies that the director's efforts to develop cloak emitters proceeded beyond prototyping. Portable versions were installed in some of the X3 medtech shells. Several of these shells appear to have been left behind in the medical wing.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
I believe it may be possible to fit Jack with a similar device, a portable cloak emitter.
What is involved?
I'll need you to retrieve the data from one of the medtech shells here. With that, I should be able to reconstruct the portable cloak emitter design.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
E foi o tempo que tivemos hoje. Não se esqueçam de deixar ficar o like, de subscrever e de partilhar. E de resto, fiquem bem, até à próxima. Dragão não falte.